Not quite famous, not quite famous, not quite famous.
We're almost there.
Not quite famous.
We're almost there.
Not quite famous.
But we're not quite famous.
Welcome to episode number 8 of the Not Quite Famous podcast. I am your host, as always, Greg Asdourian, comedian, writer, lover and not fighter. I don't know why I just said that. We have a great episode this week. I know I say that every week, but so far I've always been right. So, trust me. We have an amazing episode. It's going to be with Andrew Rivers. Andrew Rivers, comedian, hilarious comedian, good friend of mine. He is a workhorse. Yeah, he's one of the hardest working comics I think I've ever met in my life. He does not take breaks. This guy's on the road constantly, all over the country. You guys might not know who he is yet, but you will. He is one of the funniest guys I've met in a long time. I enjoy every chance I get to work with him, and every chance I get to just sit and watch him, because he is super funny. Hilarious cat. All over the country. You can find tons of his dates. Check him out at andrewjrivers.com. That is his website. That you can find all things Andrew J. Rivers on there, and I recommend you do. It was a great conversation. We talked about, I'm sitting on a round table for this one, so it's me and my occasional co-hosts, Chris Dirtbag Kendall and Matt Baledge, and the three of us have a lot of fun on our own in general, but with Andrew, it just becomes a veritable bukkake of fat jokes at me. Just everybody just throwing fat jokes at me, just like a t-ball game, just propping them up and they just crack them out of the park. It was interesting. I haven't been on the receiving end of one of those in a while. It was funny, just sitting there getting made fun of by 3 friends of mine. Felt like high school. And by that I mean it feels like every time I'm hanging out with more than 3 comedians at once. That said, it was a lot of fun. And Andrew's quick, and he's funny, and he's clever. And you guys hear a bell ringing. That would be my cat chasing me around the table right now. He's like under the table, and you're going to come up here? Yes, my cat is sitting on my lap, ringing his bell really close to the recording. So you guys are hearing that right now. I think, if you're not hearing the bell ringing, then I'm crazy, I guess. This week was insane for me, non-stand-up wise. Stand-up wise, it was pretty great. Tuesday night I was at the Punchline. Loved the Punchline. I was part of the Avengers of Comedy, as I mentioned that last week on the podcast. The Avengers of Comedy was a great show. It was awesome. Huge success. Jimmy Gunn, hilarious comedian, Bay Area legend Jimmy Gunn, and friend of the show. He retired on Tuesday night. It was his retirement show. He retired headlining the Avengers of Comedy. And he was hilarious, as he always is. He is one of the funniest guys I've ever met, hands down. And it's sad to hear that he won't be performing anymore, but he had a great, awesome, respected career. And for those of you who don't know who he is, look him up, you'll appreciate it. I'm going to sit down with him for one of these sometime very soon. But the Avengers of Comedy was a great show. That was awesome. Got to hang out with my buddy Kirk Henry on Wednesday night. We did a show together. That was a lot of fun. And next big show I have coming up, a lot of local dates in the Bay Area, and then I'm going back on the road in a big way. Knitting Factory, Reno, December 12th. You guys need to come check out that show. The Knitting Factory Concert Hall in Reno, Nevada. 2 of my favorite things. Gigantic venues. And Reno, Nevada. Love both of those things. It's going to be a huge show. Beautiful, gigantic venue. So I want lots of you people to come out and see me. Come to that show. It'll be great. This week was also my 1-year anniversary with Stacy. Yes. We got married 1 year ago on Friday. November 21st was our 1-year anniversary. And I was kind of worried. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm not any girlfriend of mine, or ex-girlfriend of mine, rather, that has ever been through a special occasion with me knows that I'm terrible at these things. I really am. I'm not. I always try to go for sentimental / funny, and it never works. I really am. I'm awful at these things, and I thought long and hard, and I tried to figure out what would work for my wife, and I figured it out. And I couldn't believe I did it right. I did this whole thing right. It worked. Everything was good. Everything was golden. She loved her gifts. Genuinely loved her gifts. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I did it right. My wife has a very classic style to her. She doesn't like overtly modern-looking jewelry. She likes more classic stuff. So I'm like, alright, what is a classic, beautiful type of jewelry that my wife would love? Pearls. I gave my wife a pearl necklace. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No, I bought her a beautiful pearl necklace and earring set. It was great. It was beautiful. And she loved it. She absolutely loved it. She's worn them a bunch of times since Friday already. She absolutely loved it. So I did it right. And I did the gift that she would love, that I knew she would enjoy. And then I also did something sentimentally. Yeah, I found a locket that was a style that she really liked. And I took it and I put a picture of me and Ty and a picture of Oliver inside there. So now she has the sentimental gift that's also a tasteful piece of jewelry with pictures of me and the kids inside of it. And then also she has her pearl earrings and necklace to wear. And I cannot believe that I didn't fuck this up. I have a black belt in fucking up special occasions. One day, I'm sure I'll convince my wife to sit down on here with me, and she'll explain to you guys all how I'm terrible at this. I really just, like, too many moments that were supposed to be special I have fucked up in my lifetime. So I'm glad I didn't screw up this one. I even, got the card and wrote the beautiful handwritten notes on it. Any of you who follow me on the social stuff like Facebook, Instagram, you guys saw pictures of the whole day, all the sentimental, sappy stuff that me and my wife were sending at each other. It was adorable. And for those of you who have diabetes now because of it, I apologize. But yeah, it was great. She got me amazing gifts. Amazing gifts from my wife. The first gift, which was my favorite gift, I started off the morning after I made her breakfast in bed, I might add, for all of you wondering what I did. She loves Eggs Benedict, so I made her Eggs Benedict. I snuck out in the middle of the night, went to the store, got all the ingredients I needed, and then made her breakfast in bed. Eggs Benedict, and it was great. We both enjoyed it. It was amazing. It was lovely and romantic and wonderful. And then I gave her her pearl necklace, and then I gave her her gift. Haha. But after she came downstairs, she gave me my gift, and it was a big, long, rectangular box. I'm like, alright, what's this? I opened it up, and it is a vintage, completely together box for the game No Respect by Milton Bradley, which featured none other than my favorite comedian, my hero, one of the reasons I am a comedian these days, Rodney motherfucking Dangerfield, on the box. It's this awful, like, math-based board game that they paid him a dump truck full of money to put his face on. And it's hilarious that this exists. It came from that time in the early 80s when Rodney's movie career kind of like exploded, and they just started paying him money to like advertise tons and tons of stuff. And even Milton Bradley got their hands in on that and fucking paid him to make a board game called No Respect. And the entire game, this is a vintage game from the early 80s. My wife tracked it down on the internet, and it's complete. Never played. All the pieces are intact, sealed, everything. And the box is even in really good condition. And it's this great vintage board game that is a great piece of nostalgia to throw into my nerdy comic nerd collection. It was great. I am so happy and thrilled about it. I want to get it like mounted in like a case and put it in my little writer officey nook thing. I'm excited. I've got tons of other Dangerfield crap in my collection because I love Dangerfield. I do. I've been listening to Dangerfield since I was like 8 years old. My father loved him and wasn't overtly picky about the things that he listened to in the car with kids around. So I'm a huge Dangerfield guy. Love Dangerfield. My wife knew that, and my wife took advantage of that, and she got me genuinely one of the best gifts I've ever received in my life. It was personal and awesome and something I love, and I can't help but smile every time I think about it, let alone look at it. She also got me a 15-year-old bottle of Macallan, which is my favorite scotch, because I love scotch. Scotch is my friend. I love scotch and cigars, and I love having threesomes with scotch and cigars. Menage a cancer, as it were. I have terrible habits. I have the habits of an 80-year-old man, but I own it. And I don't care. I don't care if I'm in San Francisco. I'm going to light a cigar. You can give me dirty looks, but I don't care. Because you know what? This cigar is killing me, and what makes you think I give a fuck about you? It was awesome. It was crazy. 1 year. I've been married for 1 year. It's insane. The whole thing completely flew by me. Yeah. Here's looking towards not screwing up the next one. Anyway, here's Andrew.
Riffraff sucks. Talking about the rapper, he fucking sucks.
So,
I think you're really the only one who knows that. Well, maybe.
No, I think. No?
Riffraff? I'm not a fan, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sort of like stuck in whatever I listen to. I mean, I like some of the stuff now, but I'm still like, it's funny. I've become sort of like the guy I never thought I would be. You know, like get off my lawn. You know, I'm only 29, but I'm still like all these new rappers with their new shit. You know, these new kids with their music. It doesn't make any sense. You know?
I know exactly what you mean.
I don't know.
yeah.
Is that high? Is that too good? Is that
No, we're good now.
Okay.
Oh, we're good now?
Yeah.
That inch made a difference?
You did.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that last inch always makes a difference, no matter what they tell you. Right? So we're sitting here with Andrew Dre Rivers, very funny comedian. He's sitting with us in the not quite famous chair, I guess is what we're going to call it for today.
How about just a shitty chair? We're not quite famous. It's a shitty chair. It is what it is.
Well, we're
Right?
not quite famous, but he's a much more successful comedian than I am.
All right.
On paper, at least.
Well, on paper, those paper being checks. So
the birth certificates? Too low?
Oh, man.
No, enough.
So,
Because he's got babies.
On
I do.
paper,
I've got like children and fucking responsibilities and shit.
on paper, online, on Instagram, on Twitter.
Yeah, no, it's oh my god, my life's over.
Your life's been over.
We'll get rid of
You
that post.
have kids now. Look, your life's been over. Now you have kids.
I mean, I love you, honey. Is she your only listener? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
of our tens of dozens of.
Well, we actually, you're episode 4.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, we just started doing this.
That's the good one.
You're episode 4 that
You guys got all this shit out of the way.
Yeah. One of the some of that shit was Miles Weber.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You're right.
Figure
With
that
his
out.
belly button.
No, he doesn't do that bit anymore.
I know, I saw the post. Yeah, it's admirable.
Yeah.
But I'm going to hold on to my crutches as long as I can.
My first hour that I ever wrote was like 40 minutes of it was I'm fat and that's why this is awkward. You know, I was touring with John Cadet for a little while. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to start being fat.
It was a lot like his second hour.
Yeah.
So that's not net.
So, all right, Andrew, you're from Seattle originally?
Yeah.
Is that like born and raised out there?
I was born in Massachusetts,
You're born in Massachusetts?
Worcester.
Worcester, Mass.
But I don't know. I was basically raised in Seattle from the time I was like, I don't know, 5 or something.
So you pretty much grew up.
Yeah.
Well, five to win, because I know
5 to now. I mean, I still live there.
You still live there. See, that just,
But
to
I'm
me,
never
it's-
there, you know?
It's, I mean, you were saying before the interview that you're a big rap fan, big hip hop kind of guy.
Sure,
and it's obviously
And
a
I
big
just
hip-hop space.
associate the Seattle scene with more of like the grunge, the birth of grunge, rather.
Sure.
More specifically.
I mean, I talk about
Exposure go.
a lot of this is, I mean, a lot of this is in my act, but fortunately, no one will come see me at a show. So, I mean, the thing is, like, I remember I used to hate rap music. Like, my brother would play rap CDs, and I would complain. I'd be like, I don't understand. Like, why does he hate women so much, you know? And then,
some relationships.
Then I got to high school and I started dating, and I was like, oh, I get it, you know? And, but it was very, like, I remember the first song, even, that I fell in love with is a Tupac song, Hold On, Be Strong. And that was like the chorus. He's like, hold on, be strong. Because I was having a tough time in high school, and I was like, yeah, Tupac gets me, you know? So but that's so ridiculous. This is, again, if everyone ever sees my act, this will be the same thing. It's like, that's what's crazy about music, is sometimes the lyrics don't even matter. As long as it's almost like halfway there, you know, you can kind of, you know, it's supposed to be entertainment, but, you know,
how you relate to
comedy is also entertainment, but there's also entertainers that help you get through things because they talk about their shitty life, and then you're kind of like, oh, you know.
Well, I know most people who hear my act feel much better about themselves afterwards.
I can bet, you know. They're like, maybe this extra 5 pounds isn't so bad.
They don't even need to hear his act, they just need to see him on the street.
Wow, yeah. We're scared of shit.
Bang, bang.
This is what you sign yourself up for?
It is.
I'm going to have a podcast and everyone's going to make fun of me.
Yeah. I need uglier friends. That's all.
Well, I'm here for you.
No, all right, so here's the thing, is that the most handsome fat dude is still going to get trumped by the skinny white guy. That is forever going to, like...
I don't know, I mean, it goes the opposite way, too, is like, I'm really skinny, you know what I mean? So like, so I'm maxed out on both of those situations. So like, when I like meet a new girl, like she'll add me on Facebook or whatever, I like go stalking through, you know, her photos, and I'll be like,
I don't think that's considered weird anymore.
No. Well, sure, but like I specifically look for like the ex-boyfriend to see like, oh, where are my chances at? You know what I mean? So like, I'm well aware of my shortcomings. So I think, but some people like that. Some people like a big guy. I mean, you've had sex at least twice.
One is a stepchild, so I've had sex at least
okay, never mind. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say is like, you know, there's a fruit for everything. I think everyone enjoys certain things. I mean, we could go around the table and whatever that thing is with the circles, the Venn diagram, boom, just pulled that out from elementary school. The things that actually matched up would probably be pretty slim, I think, you know? I mean, everyone has such radical tastes, you know? And even to the sense of like, look, if you were to sit down and talk to the average woman and be like, what's your dream guy? And they're like, oh, 6-pack abs and it's 6'3", you know, like, and then we're like, oh, who was your last boyfriend? Well, he's like 5'2", and he had a beer belly, but he's a nice guy and he made me laugh, you know? That's what we get lucky because, we get so lucky. We don't have to, we're not expected to look good, you know what I mean? Not necessarily. I mean, but when you cheat and you do work out and stuff like that.
That's why I hate good-looking comedians.
Yeah, what's your
double whammy?
Yeah, it's like whenever I see like a really overtly handsome comedian, it's like, really, this is our thing. What? Like you don't have enough success in your life. You don't take this. All right.
I feel that self-conscious too because like in the sense of a lot of comedians talk about drunken stories, and I'm like I don't have any of that. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about my emotions and. People don't want to hear that in the Midwest, and they're like, fuck you, take a shot, pussy. And I'm like, I just want to...
What's that show up in Tacoma?
The drunk show. It's called Comics Under the Influence.
I want to do that show so bad.
You can do it out here. I mean, you could ask them for permission. I'm sure they don't care. The liquor board shut it down in Seattle because they're promoting over-intoxication or whatever. Basically, a comedian...
A place with a drink made on?
Yeah, I know, right? Whatever. It's amazing. And we had to sign waivers and saying the bar isn't responsible for anything that happens and stuff. But basically, you go up on stage, you do, 8 minutes, and then you take a shot at the end of your set, and then you go to the bar and take 4 more shots, and then you go back on like a half hour later, hammered, and try to perform again. But the audience does a shot break in the middle too.
Okay.
So like the audience they are so into it, and they get hammered and they love it.
So it's like meeting in-laws. It's like you can get drunk, just don't be the drunkest one in the room.
And you know what? The audience encourages it. Like, the worse your set is put together, they get into it. Like, because they'll send up more drinks, and, like, the last time we did it I was on the last show where we got complaints to the liquor board. Like, we were so just, it's not even fun. Like, I probably had 8 or 10 shots, you know what I mean? Plus, I was sipping drink. Because you know how it's like it's like a cliff when you're drinking, and you're like, I'm not there yet. Oh, I drank too many, you know what I mean? So, like, I was backstage, and I was at the bar, and I was, like, drinking, and I was like, I'm not drunk enough yet. Like, I still feel really well, and I'm, like, the next comedian on. But there's something about, like, actually getting on stage where all of a sudden it magnifies. Like, you're like, I got hammered accidentally, So, like, there's a thing when you actually have to, like, when you're, like, relaxed, you don't have to use any of your brain, and none of it, you never notice, I think, how hammered you are. So, like, I was backstage, like, I had a bunch of shots, and then I was, like, drinking more drinks because I was, like, I kept telling the bartender, I was like, I don't think I'm buzzed enough yet. Like, I better, and I'm going to have to fake it or whatever, And then, they called me up on stage, and then by the end of my set, like, I think Miles Weber was after me, and he kept lighting me from, like, he kept coming up on stage and just lighting me because I was burning light and, like, just being annoying.
And he's not, like, a drinker either. Like,
but that's the fun part is, like, everyone, and I'm not a drinker. Like, I have, like, 2 Coors Lights, I'm hammered, you know what I mean? I'm like, you could take advantage of me.
So, whereas I'm not an alcohol guy, so, like, I would need every one of those shots.
Yeah.
To the edge.
But that's fun, you know what I mean? And I think that's what it is that your buzz gets a little magnified when you actually, there's lights on you, people have to, and then your brain is like, oh shit, we actually have to do something instead of just be drunk and happy.
Have you ever done a regular show that became one of those?
Very, very long time ago. Like when I first started, I say long ago, back in my day, 6 years ago, but like, some of the comedians that I kind of looked up to did that on the regular. And so I thought, like, I'll be as funny as them, But I just was drunk and idiot. And so, like, I remember one time, there was a bar next door to the comedy club, but the owner was a dick of the comedy club, so we would not drink at the comedy club, we'd just go to this bar next door. Okay. It was literally, like, the next building over was a bar. And we'd be like, fuck you, we're going to drink, because we hate you. And then we got hammered. We got hammered. Giggles, it's closed.
Funny how the one by assholes.
I know, right? So we got hammered, and then, I was a couple months into comedy, maybe 6 months or whatever, and I just was not. It was just a bad show, and like, I think someone went out and complained about me, and so like I was supposed to do 10 minutes. I got lit at 3. And so then I was like, I'll just get to my closer or whatever. And then, so I was like, did like another 30 seconds. And I was like finishing my joke and then going into like a closer at the time or whatever. And then they lit me again and they're like, just get off. And I was like, all right, I'll leave, So.
You need to say it's all right, I'll leave.
I was like, yeah. And then I immediately was like, that's a dumb idea. I'm not one of those guys that can pull that off. So
I did a show in Oregon, in Coos Bay, Oregon.
I know that show.
Yeah, we know that game. We all know that game. And like, it's a show where like you do 2 shows back to back, but the people stay for both. The same crowd stays for both. So during the second show, they asked my feature act, what does he like to drink? He's like, he's a Scotch guy. So they started just sending up scotches to be on stage. And
isn't Scotch like, I don't know much, but isn't that like a sip kind of a drink?
Yeah. It's a
unless you're Greg, and then it's like, just give me the bottle.
Yeah, exactly. Good old Greg, the bottle Asdourian.
You are kind of shaped like a bottle, upside down, maybe, I don't know.
A syrup bottle.
Yeah.
I was going to say
Can I call you Mrs. Buttersworth?
I was going to say Hennessy, but okay.
No, all right. So like they kept sending everything. I'm like, these people are just trying to get me drunk. That's how they're entertained. Because they heard my hour already. And I'm trying to do as much different material as I can remember.
Maybe it gets better with a little hooch.
Yeah. Well, it gets better if they're drunk, not if I'm drunk. That's the thing. Like, I don't drink before I go on stage anymore, because, like, that just ends poorly now. I've learned over the years. I'll put all my frustration into a really good cigar before I go on stage, and then that'll be my outlet now. But afterwards, I'll fucking drink whatever. I can't do a long set if I'm drunk.
It's just, some people, I mean, I'm much more of a technical. I think there are different types of comedians. Some people like to riff, and some people like to just relax and sort of. I like to tell everything the same word, the same pause. Everything is there for a reason. I'm like more like a technical surgeon.
Yeah, me and you are both really like rehearsing that.
So that gets. So I think some of the humor is in the timing and that stuff, as opposed to what I'm actually saying. Like, to me, sometimes, like, if I have to follow a guy who's, like, really goofy, I get nervous because I'm like, I don't have any of that. I just tell stories and make a goofy face and then hope people laugh, you know? But, like, I think that's sort of a benefit to... I bet if you look at the comics who are, oh, yeah, I can drink no problem, and the comics that are like, get that away from me, you know? That probably matches up pretty well.
Well, I remember one of the first times I ever had to do a longer set, I had, like, one too many before I went, and I fucked it up, like, 10 minutes into, like, a 25-minute set or something, and I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'd rather just keep getting booked. Not drink.
So who have you worked with in the biz?
Is this... Name dropping! Christopher Titus is a cool guy. He's helped me out a lot. I got to meet him when I first started. I'd done like a couple open mics, and he was so nice to me. And he was kind of like, "Oh yeah, just keep it, keep it up or whatever." And then, like, every year, he would come to town and he'd work this theater, and he would get me a ticket, and I'd go backstage, and he'd be like, "Keep it up," you know. And then I remember I was like 3 years in, and I just worked Rooster T. Feathers as an MC, and that's the club he started at.
Yeah.
And so I think that hit him a little personally. Like, he was like, "Oh wow, you're actually like a real comedian, not just like a shitty."
Because that's what Rooster T. Feathers makes you feel like, is a real comedian.
Yeah. Well, so
I don't work there, so.
Yeah, so I mean, they like me. Every club that doesn't book me is awful. I don't know. Fuck them. But yeah. So we're backstage at the casino. It was like 1,000 people, and the manager comes in and was like, "Hey, showtime. What's the order?" And he goes, "Hey man, you want to do 5 minutes?" And I was like, "Oh my god! Like, let me change my underwear real quick." I'd never even come close to that size of a show, you know. And so I went out there, and it went okay, and I could hear him laughing from the side of the stage, you know. And so, like, that was
what a funny person thinks you're funny.
Yeah. So that made me laugh a lot, and then I went off stage, and he like gave me a couple tags, and he was like, "You're so cool, that's awesome." And so that was a big moment. And so then every year he's been like, "Hey, I'm coming to town. You want to do this show with me?" And it's been a lot of fun. And actually was down in LA one time, and I kind of hit him up like, "Hey, I'm in town. If you, let me buy you lunch and just hang out and pretend I have cool friends." and he was like, "I'm so busy. You know what? Just come to my house." And I was like, "Okay, you know."
Does that almost make you feel like, you know what? I want to hang out. I don't quite think you're ready for public appearances.
Yeah. I don't know if I trust you.
This sounds like the beginning of a casting couch.
Yeah, right. Hey, we're friends, waitress. I swear,
I just don't know.
I'm his kid or whatever.
With Chris Titus, I think you could pass.
You know what? He told me I look like his fetus. So that's official stamp of approval.
Yes, you look like Chris Titus. Like, if you turned into the Hulk, it would look like Chris Titus.
Yeah. If I grew another 2 inches and I got buff. So that's what I have looking forward to. I'll stay where I'm at. Thanks. But yeah, so then we sat down and then I was talking to my buddy who books this club right before I got there, and he was like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, just on my way to Titus's house." And he's like, "Oh, tell him that we'll book him," you know, just joking around. And then the first thing I say when Titus, he opens the door and he's like, "Hey man, that one casino where I usually do they switched bookers, so I'm not going to do that anymore. So I got to look for a new venue." And I was like, well, what a coincidence. You know? I got a gig for you. And so, like, I just started texting my buddy, you know, like, Titus was just like, this money and this much, and that's all. And I was like, okay. And then I, like, text my buddy. He kept calling me. But Titus already moved on. Like, it was non-negotiable. Because he was like, well, what about this? How about this and this? And I was like, I can't even. He's done talking to you. Like,
I'm a friend, not an agent.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know, just call this guy. Yeah, nothing. But so, and now Titus is like such a cool guy that, like, I mean, last time he was doing a Funny Bone in Columbus, and he was like, hey, are you busy that weekend? And I was like, yeah, I am, but let me cancel it. Like, I would love to get into that. Because he's like, we're going to have lunch with the owner, and, you know. And he's like, oh, don't cancel anything. Like, just, I'll tell him to book you. And I was like, oh, all right, okay.
That works.
Yeah. And so I was like, I have this feeling that I should just go because this will never get this opportunity. But then, you know, he's like, I had lunch with him and you're good. Just send him an email. And I was like, all right. And now that's been ignored for, like, you know, whatever it's been, a year. But, like, literally, Titus will call me and he'll be like, oh, hey, just have birthday, just check it in. Hey, did you ever hear back from this guy? And I'm like, oh, no, I'm just going to leave him alone for a little while. And he's like, no, send him another. Here's his phone number. Call him. And so literally, like, the last email I sent to this guy was, the subject line said, Titus told me I can keep bugging you. And also blame him if you get mad. And so he wrote back and he actually put like LOL and he's like, yeah, you're fine. Just, I'm all booked for now. Send me an email at this time. And so
I gotta imagine like a conversation like that with a booker when you're like trying to be aggressive is like when you're first texting a new girl, you know, trying to move things along and like, if you get to LOL back, you're like, yes,
I don't think I can.
You're like, damn.
Yeah, you can't jump to like, you gotta try and make jokes and, you know, like, I don't know. So that's interesting. And then, you know, there's other guys. I got to work with Billy Gardell, who's amazing. Mike and Molly. And I got to work with Birbiglia, who's like my hero.
I like Birbiglia.
But that was kind of like cheating because my dad has a radio show in Seattle. Like, he just retired, actually. But so every year they would throw this Christmas party, and they'd do it at this casino, like 1,000 people. And they'd have a comedian, and then they'd play in a band. And so, like, this is like 2 years ago, and I started falling in love with Birbiglia, and his movie came out and everything. And I like called my dad. I was like, "You have to get Mike Birbiglia. He's already huge. He already plays those size theaters, but he is gonna be even huger, whatever." And my dad was just kind of like, "Oh yeah, we'll look into it, whatever." And then they ended up booking him. And so I was like, just let me open the show, you know? So I got to work with him. And I feel bad now because I feel like such a fanboy that was like annoying him. And so like he gave me his email too, but I just never bothered him and I never... But so I was doing shows in New York and I was doing shows in Connecticut also. And I saw like on Birbiglia's Facebook, he's like, hey, I'm doing an open mic thing. He has these shows like every Monday in New York called Working It Out, where it's like he'll do an hour of him open micing, you know. Like he'll bring notes on stage and he'll be like, I just don't know if any of this is like, yeah, exactly. So I was like, it's this intimate like 50-seat venue where you get to see this comedian that usually is like, you know, a couple 1,000-seat theaters, you know. And so I was like first in line. I got in the venue, and he was just sitting at the bar, and so I was like, I have to go say hi, you know, like maybe they'll put me up, or maybe, you know, like all those fantasies in my head. And so I like went up, and I was like, hey man, Andrew from Seattle. He's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if you remember me. He's like, yeah. And I was like, cool. Yeah. I was just waiting for something, and I was like, oh, cool show, looking forward to it. And he's like, yeah.
I did the same thing. I worked with Attell for a weekend.
Oh my God.
I did the same thing. Like I was too much of a fanboy and just ruined it. And just made it so awkward. Like he had no desire to talk to me the entire weekend.
Yeah. So like, so that I think I'm just gonna leave him alone for a while. But that was the thing too, is I just got a clip on TV show Laughs on Fox, and then I was so trying to determine what couple minutes to use, And then I wanted to like email and ask him for advice, but then I was like, I don't know if I should just, because last time I worked with him too, he was also like, he was super nice, and you know, he was like critiquing my set, and he was like, because I used to open on this joke that like, to me, I didn't like it. I don't know if you remember, it's the 4 balls joke or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And so there's this joke about, I don't even know if I remember how to tell it anymore, but it's like a big fan of baseball. I think it's cool that we have a 3 strikes law. We should name all of our laws after baseball rules. Like, you just legalize gay marriage, call it the 4 balls law, you know? So it's kind of this corny, dumb joke or whatever, but I always opened on that because I thought, like, oh, this will get a big laugh, they'll like me, and I'll be able to go from there or whatever. And Birbiglia was like the first guy, like, I always knew I could start slow and just open on like a high, you know? But like he was the first guy to like give me permission, I think. So like to hear it from like your own head is one thing, but to have a guy that you love, you know, to be like, just to be like, no, you don't have to do that. And then I was like, oh, you're right. You know? And so then like the next, we did 2 shows, and so then the next show I just opened on something else. Like I opened on literally the next thing that I went into from that first joke. But it was like a slower build, and he was like, that was like a million times better, that set. And I was like, oh my god, you know. And so that was cool, but I don't know if he necessarily like, you know, thinks about me. To the point that like if I show up across the country and I'm like and I like approach him
at the end of the bar,
yeah, and I'm like, hey, and he's like, yeah, that guy, I don't know. I don't think I know you, you know, and then who's this weird guy, you know? So, I don't know. But and he's coming to Seattle in like December for New Year's, and I thought like, maybe I'll just email and be like, hey, can I get a ticket? I just would love to. But then I feel like that's kind of a dick thing to like ask for a free ticket. I don't know.
Yeah, it's always weird when you're like kind of like your friends.
I mean, yeah, he gave me his email. Like he was like, if you ever need anything, but that's. You know, I also worked with Richard Lewis a bunch, and I have his phone number, but I'm not going to call that guy.
I worked with him.
But I don't know.
It's deciphering that boundary.
And he might listen to this, too. Like, I wrote a blog about him, and he emailed me. And he was like, I'm not that crazy. And I was like, you're emailing. You are crazy, you know? Like, there's no reason for you to email.
I'm going to validate you. I worked with him for a weekend. He's crazy.
A little bit.
Yeah, add him on Twitter. Definitely add him on Twitter.
Man. And so, but, you know, and I emailed him when I was in LA, and I was like, if you want to hang out, and he's like, I don't, congratulations on your show, but I don't want to be out. I don't go out. And I was like, yeah, okay, you're weird.
Message received.
Yeah. So that's the thing. He might, if he's tagged in this somewhere.
That's something I've noticed about kids, like guys that are his generation, like you know, like the ones that came out from the 70s. They don't go out unless they're doing a set.
I know.
They're just curmudgeon.
I think that's. I don't know what that is. Yeah. I think those old. I mean.
I can't wait for that person.
I mean, I'm there right now, but I still force myself to leave the house sometimes. You know, I'm like. I've been bitter since I was like 3 years in, you know?
Yeah, that's my neutral.
Yeah, that's
like I just had a kid and like he has my scout.
Yeah, oh
like,
jeez.
Like
I have an audition for Last Comic Standing coming up, and I'm always like, now I'm like, fuck, 3.5 minutes? Like, really? What am I going to put? I'm used to doing 30 to 40 every
my
night.
name takes 2 minutes.
Yeah. So, and now I keep having that inner battle where I'm like, well, Birbiglia told me it's okay to start slow. But what if they don't like that? What if they want something pow right away? And then I'm like, fuck, you know?
It's like, why not make this more competitive? What we do for a living.
There's going to be 40 comics on this show. Shit. There's 2 shows of 20 comics or whatever. So I'm going to see 40 people.
Yeah, I did it for the first couple seasons, and like they liked me. I got a lot of friends who were on it, so they got kind of like was able to see tape and things like that. But just I don't know. The format of it is just like horrendous to me.
Unless
they want to put me on.
Yeah.
Be careful who you're
I hate everything until they put me on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm auditioning for NBC soon. Actually, something to shut up now.
Stand Up for Diversity or whatever.
Yeah, that thing.
You know what's funny is I didn't. All through the years, I was like, I'm white as white gets, so I don't need to do that. And then they changed the name this year to NBC Stand Up. They took out the diversity part, so I figured, like, maybe a white guy.
It still has the diversity thing on their website.
Yeah, but that's I kept like checking both, and I'm not sure.
What was it? What are we talking about here?
It's this cattle call audition for like new comics and new talent. And
they're like, I don't know what they're looking for because I saw their callback list. And
so it's just Middle Eastern. So
okay, yeah. But so I showed up and I'm like. It was in Vancouver, BC, is in Canada, and so I got a hotel the night before, and it was at 9 a.m., and I was like, who the fuck auditions comics at 9 in the morning?
I feel like that's the first part of the audition.
Yeah.
Getting there at 9.
Yeah, I was like, that's...
How reliable is this guy?
If you want a real comedian, it's got to be like a midnight, like whatever. So I show up, and then all the judges like introduce themselves, and I'm the head of diversity for NBC. I'm like, I don't fucking belong here. Fuck. You guys tricked me. Like someone probably complained and was like, you can't say you're only not casting white people. Yeah, and then they changed the name. And
if
then
you look on the website, like all their like
these are our past winners.
They're all black.
Yeah,
they're all
looks like a police line.
Comics are really good comics, but like they're all black. There's not a single Latino.
It's like a police lineup or something. Too far for white guy.
For those of you in Radio Land, my face is stunned right now. All right, that's the one black guy in the room.
We're in Walnut Creek. Relax.
Okay,
that's the one black guy in town.
That's the black guy in the city.
That's the one black guy in the municipality. All right.
So it says here, I'm looking at his Facebook page here, doing my own Facebook stalking. You're a regularly featured comedian on both the Bob Rivers Show and the Bob and Tom Show.
Yeah.
Which is a show that we have out here.
You have Bob and Tom out?
Yeah, we have.
That's great.
Very big listenership.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Bob Rivers is my dad, and he was a radio guy in Seattle for 25 years. So that was great. I'm still not a draw, but every once in a while, a couple people come out and see me, and I get to try and promote things on the air and stuff. And that gave me a lot of experience to go into radio. And at first, when I first was doing open mics, that was like another open mic. I'd go in once a week, and they'd be like, "Here's our segment with this shitty comedian Andrew," and and then
did you talk about how you were his son?
Yeah, like they knew, everyone knew, so they were like, "My son's trying to be a comedian. Let's see what his crappy jokes are," And I'd like go in and tell jokes, and then. Every week I would write new jokes. That was the thing that got me writing a lot when I was, new. But, towards the end I would go in every couple months and just, whenever I had a show at a club that I like and I want to promote, I'd be like, hey, I'm at Laughs Comedy Spot, or whatever.
Yeah, that was I did morning radio for a while, and I feel like a lot of places booked me that wouldn't necessarily would have at the time just because they knew that I'd promote that. I would have been on the air for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny like that.
I was happy to take whatever, and I got a little flack for it, but after a while I think I proved myself that, once I was working out of state also, people were like, well, I guess his dad doesn't book all of his gigs,
Yeah, and the people who give you shit are the people who are,
they're just mad and whatever, that's fine.
Long term, yeah.
Well, it's like with Bob and Tom, that's nationals.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. That was a big thing what's funny is the year before I got on that, my dad tried to get me on there. I was out in the Midwest, and my dad emailed them. I had emailed them, and they're like, oh, we'll get back to you. And then my dad was like, I kind of know them just from radio, and, they're kind of friends of mine. He's like, I'll send him an email.
I met him once. He gave me his email.
Yeah. It's Mike Rivera. So he emailed them. And he's like, listen, if you can do a favor, my son, blah, 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 blah. And then I never wrote him back either. And so then the next year I gave up. I didn't even want to. I was like, I'm not going to try for a while. And then,
fuck them.
Yeah, fuck them. I don't like them. Please book me, And then a different comedian, Dwight Slade, who's a friend of their show, and he was like, oh, you're working in Indianapolis, or you're doing Bob and Tom? I was like, I can't really get in with them. And he's like, oh, I'll send him an email. And then as soon as he sent an email, they were like, oh, sure, come in this day.
It's good to know where the Rivers family ranks.
Sure, exactly. You know what I mean? You put me in my place. Yeah. But that was fun, and I was so nervous because I don't really listen to the show growing up in Seattle, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't, but I think I'm going to try and get on again this year, and it'll be a little better because I'll be a little more prepared. But because I was up all night, and I was sitting in my room, and I was writing out bits, and whoa, this will segue into this maybe, and this will do this, and then finally the club owner in Indianapolis, he was just like, dude, just let's go out and get drunk because you're not going to stop worrying about this. You might as well just show up and be funny, and then that's fine. And I was kind of like, all right. And so anyway, that's just kind of what we did. But,
yeah, whenever you plan for something like that, it never goes.
Yeah, whatever. So, yeah, I'm a big deal. This ain't my first radio. Yeah, get it?
I see what you did there.
So you started out in Seattle. Like, who else was coming out of that scene at that time? Like, what was the same, like...
Nobody you've ever heard of. I don't know. There's like a group that I kind of traveled with to begin with, like Kane Holloway, Sean Anderson, and Mike Corning, and Dan Sapagan. Kane is the only one that does comedy anymore. But this is what happened is Mike Corning was in our group. We were like, Mike's the guy he's gonna be famous. That's the guy. He's like a big, fat, lovable guy that just is so full of energy.
We got one of those. Or is that just big, fat?
Yeah, he's just like happy, and he was like he was a virgin until comedy. Like he was like
great.
Yeah, so like.
One time.
So he was like, so he's this big, lovable, fat guy, and like just so funny and just naturally hilarious. Like I have to put so much work in to be funny, and he was like, whatever. And we were like, that guy is gonna make it. And then he went out on a run. Basically, he went to like North Dakota, South Dakota, and whatever.
One of those. Yeah.
He went on one of those shit runs.
Maybe that's where you're going.
Maybe you should try that, running. So he went out on this mini shitty tour, bar gigs with this guy. It was called Just Another Hangover Tour, and the guy who booked it was like this big pothead. Like they got him to smoke weed for the first time, and then
that was it.
And that was it. Like literally, then he got involved in he got into mushrooms, and then he got busted for mushrooms in South Dakota. Literally, and then he got a girl pregnant the first time that he ever had sex. And then I think they got married, and then he broke up. And then it was like, so he's out of the game.
Damn.
And every time I run, like he'll come by every couple months, and he'll be like, "I'm gonna get back into it." I'm like, "I just don't believe you anymore." Like the boy who cried, I'm gonna do it again.
It's always the kids.
I hit 10 years this year, and I haven't stopped. I don't think I've gone longer than 2 months without doing a set.
Oh man.
10 years. Nothing.
Well, hey, you got kids now. They ruin your life.
Yeah,
you'll be all right.
That's hey, welcome. You got a brand new 20.
Yeah.
That joke probably didn't play well over the
well on the radio.
I was cradling a baby, and they're, you're just a beautiful new 20, aren't you? So babies you get new material from it. But yeah,
so I did my first set last week, and it was right after my wife had given birth, 3 days later. It was here, and I told this story on stage, and I'm surprised I didn't talk about it that day, actually. So I gave birth to my child. Like, the paramedics got there 5 minutes after the kid came out.
Oh, wow.
So, I delivered it. Not gave birth.
And you're like, put it back in.
No, I was going to kill me.
No, Greg's still pregnant, right?
That's
There's triplets right now.
You are lactating, so that's kind of awkward.
I have sweaty moves, all you listeners at home, because it's 97 degrees today.
Sweaty moves.
And I delivered my child. I fucking caught it. It was on its way out, and I was there, thankfully.
Coming in hot.
Now, you should feel good knowing that he's sharing that on your guest end, because we actually talked about it before and after the Miles interview. And
Miles got none of that. He got none of that.
Share.
It was that day, right?
It was that day.
I don't know why I should feel good. I didn't really want to know about it.
Because he's willing to share with you.
He's going
to give you his email after his whole production.
Come on back.
It was automatically this, I talked about this very personal thing on stage in the moment. I never really had done that before.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
You've
always been a one-linery, you see, Rodney kind of a thing. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I mean, you're putting me on this nice podcast. Very comfortable chair. The food and beverage is amazing.
We treat our guests with
craft services. I can't believe we did that. Oh, that's just the food you ordered. Never mind.
Hair and makeup.
Well, you guys can't see this right now, but he's actually eating sushi off occasion.
So I see on your album cover here, it looks kind of hip hopish. Look like Macklemore, if you will.
Yeah.
So you're in a
so
rap.
it's a sort of a combination between a Beach Boys album cover and then Macklemore fur coat kind of a deal.
Looks like Macklemore and Too Short had a baby.
Yeah, that's funny. And then that's kind of sort of combines several themes of my set, which is rap music and then the Beach Boys. I talk about the Beach Boys because I went home with a girl one time and her underwear had the words "I get around," and I was like,
"That's comforting."
Because I was there on the first night, so I was like, "This is probably true," or she's the big Beach Boys fan, So. But I like the Beach Boys. I actually went to a Beach Boys concert with my 7th grade girlfriend just the other day. Come on. No, back in 7th grade, I was pulling bitches, and went to a concert, and I remember being like young, and they told a joke about drugs that I got, but I didn't get, and so they were introducing a next song, and all their audience is like 60-year-old hippies,
Mm-hmm.
and so they were about to do like Good Vibrations or something, and they're like, this next song, I don't really know, but we were experimenting at the time, and I don't know. They were trying to vaguely say we were high as shit when we came up with this song,
Mm-hmm.
But they were trying to skirt around it, and so I got home from the concert, and my parents were in bed, and they're like, "Oh hey, come in real quick," and they're like, "How was the concert?" I'm like, "Oh, it was so funny." The guy, and I repeated his joke or whatever, and my parents were like, "I don't get it. What are you talking about?" They are trying to play they're like, "Oh shit, he's way further along than we hoped he would be,"
Who told you about
so so I talk about Beach Boys and the parallels of rap music, because rap music's such a, I don't know what the word is, people just hate it.
Yeah.
Automatically. They don't give it a chance. They don't, or they just hear what's on the radio.
People automatically hate the Beach Boys, though.
Sure.
People automatically bob their heads.
Good, no, but that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, is that the Beach Boys are rappers before rap music was ever invented, because it's the same words, they're just saying it more aggressively,
So what would you equate
what's the listen to the Beach Boys lyrics of the Beach, listen to the lyrics of a Beach Boys song, we always take my car cause it's never been beat, and we haven't missed yet with the girls we meet. How is that not a rap song? He's like, check out my car, bitches love me. That's it's the same thing, man. My buddies and me are getting real well known. Yeah, the bad guys know us and they leave us alone. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. It's the exact same thing. So I love talking about that and seeing people. I'm not going to change anyone's life or change their mind necessarily, but I may open the door. Yeah, just a little bit of perspective, because it's also a thing being a white guy that loves hip hop, that people growing up forever, people were like, how could you ever relate to that? And I'm like, I don't know, I wanted to dunk, and I just want to be cool,
Yeah, but you look like Aaron Carter.
Yeah, I dunked on Shaq one time. That hurts a little bit.
You signed up for this, man.
Yeah. Can we delete that and post it?
What was the last time we talked about that video on anything?
You know what? My friend used to make fun of me when it was long before I was ever a comedian, but he used to say I look like Aaron Carter. And he used to try and get me to just say that to people. Be like, yeah, I'm Aaron Carter. And people, I don't remember any time that I did it.
In his defense, all white people look the same.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know. So that's Beach Boys. So I think I'm not a perspective and a little bit of that's the thing. I like to talk about stuff that and it's been a year probably since you've even seen me, and it's gotten so much more defined that right now I think this is another thing that's awkward too, is I love Birbiglia so much that I think some people, like I did a show a couple months ago and someone was like, and I felt like really good about it. I was like, that was good. I felt like really in the zone or whatever. And then someone came up and was like, you remind me of Mike Birbiglia. And I was like, oh fuck, like am I ripping him off? Because right now it's very one-man showy and it's very like, oh, it's this message of music and how it's important and
one of the things I love about your stand-up is that you unabashedly love the things you love and you don't.
I think that's kind of what stand-up has been for me is like finding your voice, and that has been trying to defend my side of because I can't help, like I literally, and I love, this is a joke too I do on stage, like this what it is. People are always confused. Rap music, the messages in rap music are much simpler to understand. Like every song is check out my car, bitches love me. Like that's every rap song. Those emotions are easier to connect with for a 15-year-old than whatever Pink Floyd is.
Very visceral. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love Pink Floyd, but I don't understand it. I listen to it still. I like it. I love it sonically. But I listen to it and I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I bet this sounds amazing on drugs. That's all I got, So like that's all I got, So it's so much fun to just be able to be myself and not have to live a lie and be, because I've tried for years to be someone that I thought other people would like.
I tried so hard to be white and it just doesn't.
You know what? Yeah. I mean, it moves my bones,
Douglas Ruggish bones.
Yeah, the Douglas Ruggish bones.
Everybody want to be black.
Well, I like white, don't get me wrong.
I've heard great things about it.
You should try it sometime.
I've been trying.
It's funny how you're talking about like how you're worried that you sound like Birbiglia, because like I've felt that same way before. Is that like the first time I worked with Pinette, I mean him ended up becoming good friends. It's like I did a bit on stage, and he comes up to me after the first show. He's like, "Oh, just so you know, like that bit you just did is like almost identical to one of mine from the 80s because we're both big dudes and both the same joke." He's like, it wasn't ever on TV, never got recorded, I could have never heard it. He wasn't accusing me of stealing or anything, but he's just like, yeah, that's funny, we both are big dudes.
I like how you just make up stories now that he's dead. Oh yeah, we were real good friends. Can we get a fact check?
No one's tagging at John Pinette. Fact checking you right now.
Don't Google that.
Oh man.
Yeah, back in the day, me and Robin Williams, we used to go to these clips, And,
when I did that show up at the Throckmorton Theater, Mill Valley, and they were like, "Oh, he comes in like every other week, but he came in last week, so he probably won't be here this week." I was like so bummed.
That was like him and Harvey was all the time. Like it was,
I've heard that. Yes, it was fun.
Yeah, it's. We talked about Robin Williams a lot. Like we had Stephen Pearl on here for the first one, and he talked about him and Robin Williams close friends. Talked about it a little bit. I'm glad we brought this down.
Well, I think this is what I'd love to talk about this in a skirt the don't go to the bad side of it, but like people talk about comedians and depression, and especially after Robin Williams passed, it was really in to write these blogs that are like, oh, comedians are depressed and blah blah, you have to be bad in the head, and I don't think that like I used to think that like comedians were depressed. I think people are depressed and comedians are people too. I think it's
just the spotlight for it.
Yeah, well, I think we're more shocked when celebrities do it, but it happens every day. People kill themselves every day, but no one gives a fuck because it's not someone they know. I think that speaks volumes towards clinical depression, that even people that appear to have the best lives can still be affected by it. Yeah. Like I had a girlfriend a long time ago, obviously.
Once upon a time.
And she always struggled with that. Like she had clinical depression, and I used to argue with her all the time. I was like, stop making up diseases. Like I don't, I was probably what drove her to crazy also, because I kept telling her she was wrong, But like, and I still believe to the point that you can help yourself. Like she would drink all the time, like drink herself to sleep every night, and I was like, that's not helping, But if you get out, because I was depressed when I started comedy because I lost my job and I was doing nothing, and I had a girlfriend that was paying all my bills and like taking me out for Valentine's dinner.
That's a great life.
Now I look back and that's fantastic. But I felt emasculated at that point because I was like, I can't take her out. I want to be the man, But I couldn't do it. And, sidebar now, if there are any ladies out there, I will totally accept your money.
Which Twitter?
Yeah, at Andrew J. Rivers.
Accepting donations.
DM me.
Yeah.
There's a PayPal button on my site.
Slide in the DMs.
But no, I think it's an undervalued clinical depression. I think it's undervalued or underreported, or So I think that's I just keep repeating that last line. Is like that's so crazy that can affect people that would appear on the outside to have the best life ever.
Who makes your comedians laugh?
I think other comedians. That's my favorite thing about this is that, almost to a fault, is that I can't stop. Like, whenever I see something, like I went to the doctor the other day, and this happens to be one of my favorite Louis C.K. bits, but I went to the doctor and they're like, we don't know what's wrong really, it just hurts. I was like, it hurts, This is the Louis C.K. bit where he's like, yeah, your ankle just sucks, And he's like, well, what do I do? And he's like, well, stretch like 20 minutes a day, and that'll just make it feel better. And he's like, okay, well, how long do I have to do that? And he's like, fucking forever. And he's like, until you and your shitty ankle just die. And he goes, well, what if I was an athlete? And he's like, you're not an athlete, so no to whatever else you were going to say. So, like, I had those experiences at the doctor, and I was like, fuck, why didn't I write that bit, like, so many years? I would have wrote that bit, like, 7 years too late, But that's what makes me, whenever that kind of depresses me, I'm like, oh, it's so funny, So, like, I go through those things, and then, even sometimes when, like, I don't know, like, I can't think of a specific bit, but, comics talk about sex all the time, and sometimes I'm having sex and something happens, and it reminds me of a bit, and then I'm like, don't laugh, you're going to lose it, Like, she's not going to think this is funny at this time.
I'll be like having conversations with my wife, and I'll just giggle to myself.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a bit that I heard 8 years ago at an open mic in San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's like, that's stuck in my mind.
It's funny is way, like, when I was in high school, my first girlfriend was not having sex, and but we were kind of like adventuring or whatever, and I think it was like Scary Movie just came out, and we went on a date to Scary Movie, and there's a scene where, like, the guy takes off this girl's underwear, and, like, the bush flies and bats fly out of there, and all that stuff. And so, like, so my first time taking off a girl's underwear, and she had a bush, and we had seen the movie together. I thought it'd be so funny. I was like, oh, bats or whatever. And, like, I repeated the joke, and she was like, no. And she, like, pulled her underwear back up, and I was like, oh, shit, there's a time and a place for that. I was like, oh, this is, like, oh, I
once hooked up with a girl on the road who, like, while we were making out, started quoting my jokes to me. That killed the mood for me.
Oh, man, that would get me so hard. I'd be like, yeah, keep going. Keep going. 4 balls left.
My material is all self-deprecating.
Whose 4 balls are in your mouth?
Well, it's like all my material is self-deprecating, so it's like, it's funny how that happened.
Yeah, your stomach is suffocating me.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a joke. It happened one time.
It just killed.
Rest in peace, Linda. I don't know.
Well, it's like I'm like trying, like, all right, now we're just going to critique my set because the mood is down. It's like, what else, Joe?
Yeah, that's funny. You know what's funny too? I've had a similar.
It's like sticking your dick into a comment card.
Yeah, that's all. That's really funny. I had a similar experience because I have a joke about I'm very like I don't like a lot of text messages or like attention or like I'm a very independent person, so like all the neediness, it like I can't do it.
It's
like I have
it's called men.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I know some guys that like it. They're very codependent, but fucking faggots. This is dumb punchline. Such a cheap laugh. Fucking pussies. You know what I mean? So I have a joke where I'm like, emotionally, I'm like a cactus. Like just a little attention, and if you get close, I'll poke you. And then so I was like in bed with this girl, like making out, and then she's like, "Is that cactus thing true?" And I was like,
"I'm trying to poke you, right?"
Well, yeah, like I'm kind of like, well, yeah, don't text me a lot, otherwise I'll get annoyed. But But I mean, I like you, so you're allowed to text me, you know. But I had to like explain it, and then I was like, this isn't. I don't like this. Like you're supposed to just take notes, and then you're supposed to take notes, and then perform your own experiments. You're not supposed to like ask. Yeah, I don't know that.
You wasn't grateful, bitch.
It's the magic of it's all true and then exaggerated to a point.
Well, every chick I've dated has always been like, I'm afraid you're going to talk about me on stage. I'm like, I don't talk about the good ones. That's you.
That's funny.
Balls in your court.
Yeah. Well, you have the power.
Yeah. Oh man, I think we're at an hour now.
Oh wow. Yeah.
This was a lot of fun.
That flew by.
So so what's the CD called?
It's called I Get Around. Andrew Rivers. You're going to get it? AndrewJRivers.com. You can buy a physical copy, and I'll mail it to you, or you can download the MP3s for free. And there's a lot of jokes on here that I don't tell anymore. Like the Beach Boys one's on there, but I still tell that stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that is just not good. So that's either a good thing or it's a good thing or a bad thing. You may be like, this guy's a genius. Where has he been? And then you download my album, and you're like, oh, this was bad.
No, check out his album. Andrew Rivers, hilarious comedian.
Where can they find you?
AndrewJRivers.com.
No, I mean, where can they find you to come?
At Twitter is Andrew J. Rivers. Facebook, Andrew J. Rivers.
Oh, that's simple enough.
I'll be on a 13-week tour. Well, 12 weeks left around America. So I'll be at Laughs Unlimited for the first time in Sacramento this weekend. Laughs in Tucson. Looney Bins, Oklahoma. Arkansas, Toledo, Detroit, Indianapolis, Louisville, Knoxville, wherever. So,
all right,
just find me. I come to your city.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks. Can I get paid now?
They give you. Can they get your email?
Yeah.
My name is Greg Asdourian. I'm your host.
I'm Chris Kendall.
I'm Matthew Baledge.
And our guest,
Andrew Rivers.
All right, thanks a lot.
So, that was Andrew Rivers, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I always love talking to Andrew. He's always a lot of fun to hang out with. Super funny, super quick, and a workhorse. He's all over the place. He's doing tons of dates all the time. I'm lucky I catch him when I do because he's all over the place. I enjoyed that thoroughly. It was a lot of fun. I'm still recovering from the fact that I pulled off all the things I did this week. Thanks again to everybody who came out to the Punchline on Tuesday night. I know I had some not quite famous fans that came out to that show. That was great. Loved you guys. You guys were awesome. If you couldn't make it to that show, don't worry. Tons of Bay Area dates, as well as a bunch of dates in Nevada and up and on the West Coast. I'm going back on the road in a big way in the next few months. Big one coming up December 12th, the Knitting Factory in Reno. That is going to be a big show. I really want people to come out to that one. It's going to be awesome. I'm taking my buddy Brian Moore with me. He's going to be my feature act. Hilarious cat. We'll probably record one of these over there as well. But please come out. Knitting Factory Concert Hall. It's a concert hall. It's a big venue. And I'm headlining. I don't know how that worked out, but it's going to be a good show. It's going to be awesome. I love Reno. I love Reno so much. I was just there a couple weeks ago performing, and I'm going back there now. I love it. I love Reno. I love me some good old-timey Reno. Like, I love the older, gringier hotels. Like, I'm staying at the Cal Neva. I love that place so much. I play poker there all the time. It's great. They don't let me smoke a cigar at the poker table anymore, but nobody does. But, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, so I'm lucky if I can smoke a cigar anywhere at this point in my life. But December 12th, it is the weekend of SantaCon in Reno. Come out to Reno. Friday night, come to my show. Saturday night, go to SantaCon. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Actually, Matt Baledge, who you just listened to on here, my occasional co-host, he is going to be hanging out with me in Reno, too. Come say hi to us. Come to the Knitting Factory show, say hi to us, say hi to me, say hi to Brian Moore. and it'll be great. Please come check out that show. Also, ton of dates at Massey's Sports Bar and Grill every Wednesday night. All the new bookings that are coming up, some good ones, Ty Rivera and Guy Balaam, a lot of hilarious comics coming up. Go to my website, gregasdourian.com. My full calendar is on there. Also, you can find all your Not Quite Famous podcast needs at gregasdourian.com as well. There is a link on the side main bar that says the NQF podcast. Give it a click. You can send us an email about the podcast. Let us know what you think. Also, there are links to our Twitter feed and our Facebook feed. Twitter, it's at NQFpod or Facebook.com/NQFpod. Same thing with me, at Greg Asdourian or Facebook.com/Greg Asdourian. Please show us some love. It's appreciated. But yeah, it was awesome. Andrew Rivers, he was amazing. Look him up. Rob Dillinger did the music at Rob Dillinger on Twitter, robdillinger.com. Yeah, thanks a lot for checking it out.